Hello and welcome along to our preview of the 2016-17 Big Bash. It's all courtesy of the team at TABtouch. David Shortte with you. I'm joined by former Australian international and indeed coach of the Western Warriors in Wayne Clark. How do you do, Clarkie?
Yeah, going well, Shorty. Really looking forward to it again.
Outstanding. Let's get into this. Well, our own home side will be getting right behind the boys in orange once again. The Perth Scorchers, certainly on paper, they look to be set for another pretty successful season.
Oh, most definitely. On paper, you'd pick them. My biggest concern is the injury toll at the moment, and especially at the first part of the season. We've got a number of the bowlers out. Coulter won't play. Behrendorff might miss 3 or 4 matches because of the stress fracture of his heel. Ty's in doubt. Paris is just coming back. So that's my biggest concern at the moment. So you've got to keep a good eye on that.
Absolutely, and that's got the potential for them to be having to chase some pretty big tallies on the way through. The upside, I guess, if you have a look at this Perth Scorchers outfit is the fact that they've probably got enough quality there to chase down some pretty big scores. You have a look through Maxi Klinger. Obviously, Ian Bell coming into the mix is a real high quality player. The potential to have the likes of Mitch and Sean Marsh at different stages through the campaign who can also pile on really good scores. So as you look down this list, this batting lineup has certainly got the capabilities of putting on some really good tallies.
It has, and Adam Voges, of course, coming back. And they'll have him for the whole series, which they haven't had over the last few years. Yeah, batting is tremendous, and you mentioned Klinger. I mean, he's just so consistent in the game.
What a pickup he's been for WA cricket.
Has been, and you know, he's one to make sure you put in your batting for the top run scorer, because he'll be batting probably 3. But you know he's consistent, and that'll be their strength. Their batting. My biggest concern is their bowling. You've got Mitch Johnson coming back. Where's he going to be at? You know, how fit is he going to be? How's his execution going to be? That's the main thing, because he's been out of the game, and they're the interesting things. And no Hogg.
No Georgie.
No Georgie.
It's not going to seem the same, is it, without George?
Well, that puts the pressure on Ashton Agar. He'll get a lot more responsibility because he was missing out because of Hogg. And also young James Muirhead. I think he'll get his opportunity this year as well, so with the leg spin.
Yeah, definitely. It's very interesting. The recently completed festival game that was on between the Scorchers and also the Legends 11. It was interesting to see guys like Mitch Johnson, obviously has missed quite a lot of cricket. He seemingly lacked a little bit of rhythm. He was still sending them through. That shoulder of his is still strong enough to zip them through. Joel Paris is another guy that would have certainly improved for the hit out in that particular fixture. So I just think they'll warm into it as the tournament goes on. But initially, they could be vulnerable and go for some runs.
They could do. Andrew Ty is such an important aspect of this Scorchers side as well. Now, it looks as though he'll be okay. Maybe he might miss one game, but when you're looking at leading wicket takers, he's one that you always throw up there, because you know that he's going to bowl at the death, and he got that variation in pace. He picks up a lot of wickets, a lot of cheap wickets.
One thing he does do really well is late in the innings, he bowls full and straight, and he hits a lot of wickets. He gets a lot bowled late in the piece when guys are going to take him deep down the ground.
Definitely.
All right, so let's get into the predictions then. Clarkie, where do you have the Scorchers finishing up?
Well, looking at the list, you'd say they'd probably win it, but I'm going to put them at 3rd, mainly because of my doubts over the injuries at the moment. And that's my biggest concern. And I think maybe we might miss him later in the season with English duties. So I've got him at 3rd. It breaks my heart, but I'm doing that.
Yeah, look, I'm a pretty parochial. I'd like to have had them on top. I've got them in 2nd position, and I'm worried early on without the bowling, but I just think maybe the batsman might find a way to get the job done. It's certainly a hallmark of Justin Langer sort of coach sides. He finds ways to win. Often the Scorchers throughout the history of the Big Bash have gone in outsiders. You've looked at their side on paper and thought, how are they going to win? And yet the Scorchers, they've just got a great winning culture.
Well, that's it, the culture. That's the word. And you know that the overseas players that come, if they're not prepared to join in with it, he doesn't get them.
Definitely.
So these two blokes will be working as hard as anybody throughout this period.
Without a doubt. So I've got them finishing in 2nd, and while we're talking of the overseas players, my player to watch from the Scorchers is Ian Bell. He's been a phenomenal international for many, many years. He's taken his show on the road right around the world and performed at an elite level. I think he's a wonderful pickup for the Scorchers.
I'm throwing in one little bit from left field in Hilton Cartwright. Hopefully he gets the opportunity, but the batting's so deep. But here's one of the most exciting young cricketers that I've seen for a long time, and just if he's playing, go and have a look at him. He hits the ball hard, and he can be an absolute match winner with the bat.
That's wonderful news. And of course, he was a recent inclusion in the Australian one-day squad. So it's been great reward for a young guy that's certainly on the up. And while we're speaking young guys on the up, the other one I wanted to mention there, who has really improved his cricket out of sight to the point where he's actually the leading run scorer in Sheffield Shield at the moment, is Ashton Turner.
Yes, yeah. But the problem is, it's how you're going to fit these guys in.
Exactly.
You know, when we've mentioned the batting lineup with Klinger and Voges and Bell and the two Marshes, you've got players like Cartwright and Turner who deserve to be in the side, but where do we fit them in? And that's their strength, their batting. My concern is getting those wickets.
Having to chase down plenty. Well, Clarkie, let's head across to the home of the pie floater over there in Adelaide, and they've got the strikers going around. They've been really competitive in recent Big Bash tournaments.
Yep, third last year, and they finished top actually, but just hadn't won that final. That's the biggest thing, is to go that next step. But I think they're a real chance this year.
All right, we're crossing swords a little here. I've actually got the strikers dropping off a little bit heading into this particular Big Bash tournament. A couple of reasons behind it. I just thought they're a side that generally have got the job done with spin bowling in recent years, and with the departure of a couple of those players, namely Rashid, who's gone on to do a wonderful job at international level, I thought they'd really miss him. And in place of Rashid, they've brought in Chris Jordan, who he's no Michael Jordan, put it that way. Like, he's got the same last name, but he's not quite a superstar. He's a guy that's done a reasonable job at international level, but he's the sort of guy that when I watch, I kind of think, yeah, he's the sort of bloke that could go for a few runs and not necessarily do the job that someone like Rashid had done. They've picked up Dunk, which I think is a big inclusion from a batting perspective, but also Boter, of course, has been a big part of their success. So they've really relied on spin and quality spin options on the way through. This time round, they've got a very strong reliance on fast bowlers.
Yep, I would agree with that. Rashid, you've got to replace 16 wickets, I think it was, that he took last year. So that could be the thing, but I think their batting has just gone up a touch. And Kieran Pollard, he is just an explosive game changer, you know, and I'm sort of predicting that he will be someone that'll really step up this year. Ben Dunk, I think, is a great in for them. He's come from the Hurricanes, and the shorter boundaries, square of the wicket will really suit him. Chris Jordan bowls well at the death, and I think you'll find that he probably will do the job. I agree with the spin aspect, but yeah, I still like the way they're shaping up Adelaide strikers.
All right, look, certainly from a batting perspective, guys that you know are going to get the job done. Brad Hodge, he has been an absolute master in the Big Bash from day one. He just goes out there, he's a very professional campaigner, gets the job done. While I'm saying they're very strong on a fast bowling sort of aspect, it's guys like Lachlan and Nisa and Richardson, they can get the job done. It's just traditionally they've done it with spin rather than quick. So I'm just a little worried as to how that might work out. Adelaide Oval.
Look, that is fair comment, I think. But I like Ben Lachlan. I've got him as one of the players that I think could be one of the leading wicket takers. I think he took 12 last year, and he's another one that bowls at the right time, varies his pace, and will take a bit. But yeah, you're dead right. The Nessa, John Holland will be playing. He'll get a lot more bowling this year.
And that's a question mark in itself.
Well, it is, but he's been in pretty good form in the longer form of the game, and he seems to be growing with confidence. So, but again, it's going to be their batting. Jake Lehman, exciting young player. And then we've seen Travis Head. Again, the unfortunate thing for them is they'll probably miss him in the second half.
And they will miss him because he has been in stunning form. I'll never forget the knock last summer. I think the entire nation stopped when Travis Head went absolutely berserk there at the Adelaide Oval. Just lit the place up. He's a fine talent. I've actually made him my player to watch. So I've got them dropping down to 6th position. Adelaide. Clarkie's got them on top, so we're crossing swords big time on this one. Players to watch, I think while he's there, Travis Head, particularly from a betting angle where you're looking for most runs and you're looking to get an earn, in the nick that he's in at the moment, I'm pretty sure if he plays in 2 or 3 early games, he'll probably be high scorer in 2 out of the 3. Just from an Adelaide perspective, he is a young star on the rise.
Yeah, I'm sticking with him. I think the home ground advantage is great for them. So, but I've gone for Ben Dunk. I think he's a really good in. We saw him a couple of seasons ago just absolutely dominate the Big Bash and picked up the IPL. Hasn't been the same player, but I think he's just got something really to add. Alrighty, there we have it. Our thoughts on Perth as well as Adelaide. Good luck if you're having a punt on the Big Bash with TABtouch.